Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Martha, I'm sorry, you're not Martha. She's not here today. Hi, Ella. We don't have, I believe, the non-public session minutes yet from August 16th, so we'll have to contact Martha and see about those. Those minutes were sealed. By the way, so it would not be available for the public anyway. That brings us to public comment. Does anybody have anything? B?
I just have two. I just want to compliment the Jackson Historical Society for all the work and renovations on the town hall with no cost to the taxpayers. And also, the buckets I asked Jay to take up because I'm sick of fighting with Japanese beetles, and they will eat all the flowers. And Bob and I have provided them for 7 years, bought the plants, and I've taken care of them. The stems. Someone else can do their civic duty and donate.
I've seen you out there day after day tending to those flowers, and on behalf of the town, I'd just like to thank you for doing so. And
No, I don't need thank you, but 7 years is enough.
You do deserve thanks, and 7 years is enough, and hopefully someone else will come up and volunteer to do it going forward. Joyce?
I don't know whether or not, I know Diane received an email from me, which I wanted her to pass on to you regarding the work that Gary Spears is going to do for the library. Did you see that?
I did see that.
You did, you all did, great. Well, I don't think I really need to say any more to you, except that I just wanted to affirm that you got it, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to speak to you.
Yeah, I don't have any really questions at this point in time. I think it's a great idea and a wonderful gesture on Gary's part to do this. I do have a little bit of concern about maybe trees being planted without a better master plan with where buildings might be put in the future. So that'd be my only concern there, that we should at least think about while we're moving forward with this process anyway.
Yeah, well, Gary had all the, he had like proposed, he had that plan that talked about proposed additional parking, proposed whatever. I mean, he does have that in his possession, so that, and nothing's going to be planted, as you know, this is simply a design plan, but hopefully he has enough information so that he will be placing things, in an appropriate spot.
And when you plan for things like parking and lighting and that kind of stuff, those can always be changed. But when someone puts up a memorial tree, it's like, that was my only concern anyway. That just thought we should just keep that in our minds anyway at some point when we move forward with it anyway.
Well, you'll have a chance to see the plan when it's finished and approved or not. So, thanks.
Thank you, Joyce. Anything else at this point?
I spoke with John last week, John Allen, and I wanted to set up a meeting with the 3 selectmen to discuss some problems that we're having. It's a personal matter and it's a private matter, and I'm wondering if we could set aside some time so I can meet with you and go over some personal things.
We can do that. We can have you place on the agenda and go into non-public session and discuss that type of thing. There are some parameters when we do that. When we go into a non-public session, it's really at the pleasure of the select board to decide whether or not we keep something like that private or not. If we decide to keep something like that private, in other words, not disclose what was discussed there, the selectmen are bound to not discuss what was discussed in that session, although anybody else in that session is free to discuss what was there.
That's understandable.
And those are really the only kind of guidelines to that. I don't know if, we've got a pretty full agenda today. I think it might be difficult for us to.
Yeah, I still need to get all my paperwork together and go through all my files. some things that I need. So it's gonna take me a few days.
Well, so maybe we target our next selectmen's meeting, which is the 20th of September? Although we might be changing that one.
So like prior to that?
We haven't scheduled our next selectmen's meeting yet. We'll probably do that this evening.
Oh, so it is, but it's like a private meeting?
No.
Your meeting will need to take place during the selectmen's meeting
In other words,
with us.
Okay, but there won't be like other people there?
no,
Okay.
we would be in this meeting, and then we would go into what's called non-public session. In other words, we'd ask the audience to leave, and then...
I see, okay, so what day is that, the 20th?
Well, actually, we don't know that yet because it's scheduled to be the 20th, but we're going to reschedule because we won't all be here. So we're going to reschedule it probably for a day right around that time period. But
Okay, that's fine.
we'll probably schedule it later on in the meeting today, and then we can let you know when that's going to be.
You can give me a call at the
And
office.
if,
Oh, okay, I will.
and if needed, it becomes public.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Double dip on that.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I just glanced down, deputy health inspector appointment.
Yeah.
God bless us, what for?
Well, we'll address that when we get there. It's our current health inspector is not certified for health inspections, and there may be circumstances that we need a certified one for, and this is just logistically taking care of that.
So you're gonna get the job.
Again, that's about really all there is to that at this point in time anyway, but we'll discuss it a little bit more when we get to that point on the agenda. Anybody else right now? We'll move along to the police report. Chief, you want to come on up?
Oh, yeah.
Last selectmen's meeting, you recall, I told you about an incident at a motel where staff member had spit on a vehicle and went out and pounded on it. And the person inside that car did decide to prefer charges. So that person, the motel staff person, was arrested on 3 charges. We had 3 false burglary reports. We took a report of a car that was parked at a place along Main Street, and where they were doing some work on a building, and some matter got on the gentleman's car. It's more of a civil matter. We just went there to observe what was on his car, so for witnesses, I guess. We had a car that on Route 16 that had pulled off the road. I think they used a cell phone. They pulled a little too far, went into a drainage ditch. We had a disorderly subject up here on vacation at one of the hotels that had became intoxicated and was causing a disturbance. We took several reports of gunshots that were heard early in the morning in the Black Mountain Road area. We kind of zeroed in on a place where there was some construction work going on, and one of the workers said that there was a bear in the area, and he fired a couple of rounds to scare it off. So I spoke to him about what the rules are, and I contacted the Department of Agriculture about setting some traps up, and that seemed to resolve the gun problem. They've not heard any shots since. We have had some political signs that have been damaged or stolen. The person whose signs they are has told us that he will prosecute, so we've set up one of our trap cameras that will, it's motion sensitive, that will take pictures. A found wallet was turned into us from an out-of-stater. no real ways to get in contact with the person except through AAA. We called AAA, said, hey, could you call this person? They did, and they came by the station and picked the wallet up. It was kind of neat. We had all our radars recalibrated. They're all good to go. We got a call for a raccoon on a screened-in porch. A call on Eagle Mountain Road. A person thought, it was probably about 10 o'clock at night, they heard somebody outside the house. Went out there, walked around in the woods. Didn't see anything, so I don't know if there's a bear around there or what. That's probably be my guess. There was a wedding with a wedding reception. There's a couple that got into a verbal domestic, and the place that they were staying at was pretty cooperative, and they provided a separate room, an additional room that they could be separated for the night. We had a subject call us and report that he had went down a road that he thought dead-ended. So he backed up into a driveway, and there's signs that said, do not back up in the driveway, this is not a turnaround. The owner came out, yelled at the guy doing it, and I guess the guy took offense and reported it. I took a report of a lost pendant in the Falls area. We took a report of at a condos where a good spigot was replaced with a damaged spigot. So we fingerprinted a person for employment purposes. We assisted the ambulance with a diabetic seizure. We had a vehicle that was broken down on Black Mountain Road, and we were able to get them the services through the Wildcat gas station. Took a report of vandalism from one of the golf courses. We went to a motel for 2 disturbances between staff and guests, 2 different ones the same night. And then we had a call of a dog fight. 2 dogs got a fight.
Anything else?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'll make a photocopy of this for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Carl.
Good.
Thanks.
Next up on the agenda is the highway report. Assuming Jay left this for us to refer to. Let's read through it. Paving is to be done on New Hampshire Route 16B on September 24th. This is a cost share between New Hampshire DOT and Town of Jackson, with the cost being $20,000 each. All other major work for 2012 is complete. We will be doing some minor ditching and adding some gravel in various locations. A lot of general maintenance items will be done this fall, such as tree limb removal, culvert cleaning, cold patching, and maintenance of equipment. All Town of Jackson fire and highway trucks are receiving state inspections this month. I can't think of anything to add to that at this point in time. Jay?
Are you aware where 16B, the pavement's going to take place?
I think pavement's kind of maybe a little bit misleading there. I think they're really doing more shimming than they are paving. Most of it, I think, is going to occur along the Carter Notch Road portion of that. But it will be pretty much all over the road anyway. The gravel work that's being done, he did just add the gravel behind the town hall road. I mean the town hall building, and he probably will be doing some graveling up on Green Hill Road, and too as well, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. And then the other stuff's pretty self-explanatory there, so. That brings us to building permits. First up on the agenda is Lisa Down Moser's replaced sill under the foundation. I did speak with Andy about this a short while ago. He's been up there on a couple of different occasions. On the last occasion that he was there, he was able to speak with the contractors that are doing the work up there. He is concerned that the work being done probably does exceed the $10,000 exemption limit. And he does recommend that we ask for Lisa to pull a building permit on this one. From the work that was being done there, he didn't see any issues as far as any code compliance concerns were. So the work that was being done appeared to be being done very well, but he couldn't get any of the contractors up there to assess what the number of the work being done was. So I think maybe I don't know, how do we want to proceed on this one? And just to refresh my, are you aware which house it is, John?
I haven't seen the house in a long time.
Is it the red house?
Yeah.
Near
Yeah.
Sarah Clemens' house?
Yeah.
Okay, I did drive by it this afternoon, and it was hard for me to ascertain the scope of the work that was being done there. I mean, it looked fairly minimal to me, but Andy said all the sills are being replaced and the foundation is being replaced, which is repair work, but again, it's probably repair work that is going to exceed $10,000 in value, at least how we would assess the situation. So
And the work is already in process.
it's already in process, but in talking to Andy about that, he said it really wouldn't present any problems as far as the inspections that would have to occur with it at all. It's like it's all pretty much cut and dry and still visible, so it's not like it's doing the inspections will be difficult. And everything seemed to be compliant as it was, so he wasn't too concerned about that aspect of it if we were to ask for it to pull a permit for it.
Well, it's his perspective that we rely on, and if he's feeling like it's over $10,000, then that's what needs to be done to come into compliance.
And I mean, this might be a situation where it's difficult to necessarily get a specific on the value of the work that's being done, because it's not like it's X square footage for building a garage or X square footage for basement. One thing that I'm wondering that we could possibly do on this is, to ask for the building permit fee and then waive the square footage requirement fee that is involved with that, because we really don't have a very solid way of necessarily estimating that, at least at this point in time. I guess I'm suggesting that if we were to ask for a permit, maybe we ask for the $75 permit fee, and then maybe waive the multiplier, because we don't have a very solid way of determining that. Unless you want to give Andy an opportunity to do that, maybe, and assess it at that point in time. But I mean, the first thing we'd have to do is just ask her to come in and get a building permit and fill it out.
You know the application there, right?
Sorry?
There was an application there for.
Oh, she did fill out an application? You didn't mention that part. Well, we've had this one before though, haven't we?
It's August.
And we got the $25 fee, so I guess she's claiming it's under $10,000. I guess I'm at a loss.
Well, Andy's, position is that it's over $10,000 in value. And so,
Well, actually, I can't confirm that, to be honest with you. He didn't say that specifically.
what did he say?
Well, his words were, I know people think I'm permit crazy. I said, well, I don't necessarily agree with that characterization of it. I said, to me, if it's at over $10,000, we'd be asking for a permit. If it's under, then we wouldn't. And he actually didn't respond to that. He just said it's clear that this is work that should be inspected for code compliance. So again, I don't know whether his position is that it's over $10,000 or under $10,000. So maybe we should clarify that, Diane.
I had a conversation with him
before you do.
Yes.
And he feels it is. He voiced that to me. And he said he was going to send you an email to that effect, and he hasn't done that yet.
Feels
So
what is?
that the work is over 10,000.
Okay.
He couldn't really say how much, like he does make estimates, because he couldn't talk to the contractors. They didn't want to talk to him.
Well, that would make sense from the contractor's
So
standpoint.
he said he would send an email to you. I suggest that we wait and give him some time to research it, because there are contractors out there that do that type of work. And if there's, not a cooperation, perhaps he can get an estimate. We have the dimensions of the building in our assessment information.
And he did get
We can share that with a contractor who does like work.
And he did get an idea of what the work,
I mean,
of the scope of the work today, so I think that'd be okay just to wait at this point in
I
time.
think given more time, I would recommend.
So just pass
Was it
it.
just today that he
Yes.
was out there?
Yes,
I believe so.
yes, it was like around 2, 3 o'clock, I got a phone call from him, so he really hadn't had a chance.
Well, I think what I rely on is that formalized communication, and even if it's an email, if it's in writing, and his opinion, this is greater than a $10,000 value, then we've got something really clear to go on. Whether or not, in his opinion, the work needs to be inspected or not should only be based on that value, at least as
Well,
I interpret the zoning ordinance.
From our perspective, not necessarily from his.
Right. And that's what we need. And so if he's unclear on that, he needs more time to research it, then he'll need more time to provide that answer. But hopefully our question is really clear to him. In your professional opinion, is the work going to be greater than a $10,000 value? That's the question I'm hoping to get an answer to.
I imagine it's pretty hard to put a value on that
Right.
because it's
Right. But that's what we
not
depend
a,
on it for,
yeah.
right?
So we'll pass over for now.
Yeah.
Wait till it's ready.
Sounds good.
We have the building permit for Lappin in front of us.
All the i's dotted, t's crossed on that.
I believe so. Andy's got a recommendation here for granting this building permit application. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the rebuild of the burnt home for Leo and Roberta Lappin at B8, lot 36B.
So move.
Second.
Anybody want to look it over or discuss it more? Or
Not through that one.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Oh, there's two places there, isn't there?
Where's the second?
I don't know, it says sign here and sign there, so
Oh, okay.
I think we missed it. I think there's a no ducks allowed rule on.
I thought I heard a duck.
No pets in the building.
Did
That was,
And as soon as that building permit's ready, I'll sign it. I don't know whether you guys are going to do that tomorrow or Monday, but
Monday?
Monday. Okay. Next up is replace the deck for Allen and Como Aldrich, P7 Lot 2. Andy's recommending granting this application. There's a motion to do so.
So move.
second.
It's under $10,000, but the footprint is not the same. Just wanted to point that out.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
any setbacks, I take it.
They can check.
Andy's usually pretty good at checking those, so. Oops. So- Oh, sorry. These top portions, do you want those signed as well? I see there's two places there for,
Well, I like to have everything on one, but it's better to have sign the recommendation sheet
Right.
because it's right there.
Yes. yeah, sign both.
That's important, I think. Because you're relying on that when you sign it. We staple everything together.
Next up is Robert McPherson, remove steel flue, chimney wood covering, and steel fireplace. This one is purportedly under $10,000. Andy's recommendation under section R105.1 of the state building code is to issue a permit to ensure the safe completion of the removal of this heating device. I guess I'm not sure why we would issue a permit for this type of work myself.
If it's under $10,000, it's not something we should be considering. Based on how it's zoning ordinance reads.
I have no problem with it.
Just need to inform them they don't need to pull a permit for it. No permit necessary for that one. And Christopher and Kimberly Darby install in-ground pool, R14 lot 13. I did speak with Andy about this today. He does recommend we approve the building permit for this. It is well over $10,000, but it is also outside the footprint of the building. And pools are specifically mentioned in there as not being exempt from a permit, regardless of the value. So should be pretty clear on that one. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yep. We have a letter here from the Jackson Historical Society for their October 12, 2012 reception that I'll read for the record. Board of Selectmen, Town of Jackson. The Historical Society has scheduled the official opening of our Museum of White Mountain Art at Jackson with a reception on October 12, 2012. At that time, we will have the inaugural exhibition in the museum with 50 19th century White Mountain paintings titled On the Road to Jackson, A Journey Through the White Mountains of New Hampshire. The reception from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is by invitation with paid admission and with food and drink refreshments being served. Attendance will be restricted to 125. We respectfully request permission to serve wine on this occasion.
Not selling the wine?
Sorry?
Not selling the wine, just serving?
No, it's, there's an admission fee
Right.
that each attendee will be paying,
Right.
but not selling the wine by the glass or anything like that.
So what our
Warren, who pays for the liability insurance and building insurance on that?
I don't believe so. We've had permission in prior years to do this, and I know our insurance covers it.
It's your insurance that covers the building, not the
Yes,
town's?
yes.
If that's the case, I don't see any issue with it myself. As long as you're not selling wine there, I don't know why the town would be too concerned about it.
That's just an FYI on the wine, you're not looking, you don't need permission from us.
Right, yeah. And, yeah, it's not going to be publicized publicly or anything like that. Incidentally, this inaugural exhibition is going to be a big event in the art world in New Hampshire. Curators from the major museums in Boston and throughout New Hampshire, like the Hood and the Courier, will all be there. So it's what could be called really a blue ribbon affair.
Better get some good wine then.
The best, the best.
They serve it out of that box
Mogan
and
David.
stuff. So is this my invitation? Is that what you're saying?
You might not be able to afford the admission price on that.
No, it's very modest. It's $75 a person. And they'll be well-fed and, I was going to say well-drunk. I don't mean that. But well taken care of, put it that way.
Well, and by the way, the work that Tamarack did sure did turn out nice.
Yeah,
They
sure did.
We just got the final bill.
In fact, I've never seen the old town hall looking so good.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to add this comment too, that Jay and the town has done some excellent work at the back there and getting control of the runoff water. And I think it's now fixed for the first time. That water will not be washing under the building. It's going in the right direction, in the right places, and I think it's, well, considerably lengthening the life of the building itself. So hats off to Jay because he's really done a great job there.
Really, that's it. Thank you, Warren.
And just before we move on, as he's mentioning Jay and the works Jay done, I don't think, and talking about how great the town hall looks, I don't think I've ever seen the park looking so good either. And I just want to mention that on the record that they've done a great job down there with the ball field and landscaping around the pond. And I've been using that park for a long time. It looks really good. And I want to recognize that. And I want to recognize the crew for the job they're doing down there.
Absolutely.
I second that. We will move along to number 7, Tamarack Construction Company requesting to trench under Thornhill Road. Did you all see the memo on this one?
Yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward.
Yep, they basically just need our permission. It's a technicality more than anything. They checked with the, with Jay. I'll read the letter anyway. Just I'm working for Tim Garrison to general contract work associated with changing his electrical, telephone, and cable service entry from overhead to underground. This work will require digging a perpendicular trench under Thornhill Road directly across from his driveway. The Hampshire Electric Co-op requires permission from the town for such work. I discussed the scope of work with Jay Henry last week while he was grading that portion of the road, and he did not see any problems with our intent. Please let me know if you need additional information regarding this matter. I've been talking about, Jay's got an okay highway department there. I've been talking with Jay a lot on a lot of different issues. He didn't even mention this one on the radar, so I imagine it's not a concern of his at all. So this is just a letter. Please accept this letter conveying our mutual joint support authorizing Tamarack Construction Company to trench perpendicularly under 163 Thornhill Road, Jackson, New Hampshire, directly across from Tim Garrison's driveway to change his electrical, telephone, and cable service entry from overhead to underground. And I'm assuming, Diane, you put this letter together for us. Thank you for doing so. It's pretty straightforward, I think.
It's for the electrical company, they're asking for the right to allow them to do the work.
So Tamarack's managing the project, and the co-op is actually trenching?
I believe it's Tamarack that's doing the trenching.
Okay.
I believe the electrical co-op doesn't trench. They put it in, but they don't do the physical
I
trenching work.
imagine Tamarack's going to subcontract that out.
And I assume
Probably.
that there's a plan in place to keep the road open, and not that they need a flagger or whatever, but I mean, they'll need signage out there, they'll need posting. I'm assuming that they've all been made aware of that. And,
Yeah, well, less stuff would have gone with it, so.
okay.
I entertain a motion to approve the letter for conveying support for the authorization, Tamarack Construction to trench perpendicularly under 163 Thornhill Road.
So moved.
I imagine the New Hampshire Electric Co-op is going to be the one feeding the cable lines underneath once it's
Right.
dug. And they usually have all the flagging and things like that arranged. They,
They take care of that.
They have the cones and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I believe how that work usually happens. Electric co-op doesn't dig. They just lay the conduit. They lay the electrical line through the conduit, so
Right.
that's
They
where
pull.
that's where they're involved. Like you said, they have all that stuff in place usually when they're doing all that work, so.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
just want to make sure that the roads aren't getting closed for some extent.
No,
I
that's,
just really want to get here on Crawford Beach and 302.
I don't know how they would keep it open for that think about it.
Well, you do one
It's-
side at a time.
I guess.
it's the kind of thing that you can trench a road pretty quick, and usually they'll do kind of one side, keep the shoulder enough open so people can get around. There'll probably be a few minutes on either end where the road's not passable for a few minutes, I'm sure, but it wouldn't be the kind of thing where it would be closed for half a day to get the conduit through.
Sometimes they pound them right through the ground. So they can do that as well.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
like a little trench.
Probably not necessarily that road, but some roads, major roads, you can do that.
We've got a right of easement from the New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
There's two sets. This pole is going near the gazebo.
Right of easement to place a pole, is that what you
Yes.
This is for the gazebo, for the town.
Well, yeah, I imagine it's to
The one that
service,
went
to
down?
serve electricity to the gazebo. Lights for the Christmas tree.
This is just an easement for the pole, pretty standard.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to approve the easement for the pole.
So moved.
Jay's been
Second.
working on this with Goody.
Yeah, and I just saw Goody this evening, he said it was all set to go on that, so. The pole on 23 Black Mountain Road, the town property there by the gazebo in town, skating rink. Does say it needs to be signed in front of the
I can
notary,
do
so.
that, I'm a notary.
Right, so I
I
said,
want you to sign it and I'll notarize it.
okay.
Later.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't know whether this needs all of our signatures or not, but since we're here, why not?
There's only two spots.
I think there's more here.
Oh, we know, okay.
There's two sets. You know
Two
that,
sets.
right?
Backside
They
of that
should
one.
be attached together.
That one, the backside of that one.
Okay. You know what? I'm confusing myself with the binder easement with the Jackson Torrey Company.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
that's
So that was
just,
good.
yeah.
Went up,
okay.
Okay.
Got a notice of intent to cut, or Arthur Couture, entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent to cut R13, lot 19, number 12, 23104.
So moved.
Second, have we talked about this? Is this?
I'm assuming this is up on the parcel that's up way off of Green Hill
One
Road.
that- Okay.
So this is just the work in progress up there. It's private property. There isn't much we need to authorize the cut, but it's not the type of thing that we typically would ever refuse for any reason unless we had a specific reason why we were concerned about it.
Got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Got the Jackson Ski Touring Foundation binder easement. This is the annual one that we prepare every year for them. So entertain a motion to approve the binder easement for the Jackson Ski Touring.
I'll make a motion.
Second? And can you just give me a little bit of background on that?
Yeah, all the property owners that own land under the Jackson Ski Touring trails need to give the binder easement for the Jackson Ski Touring Foundation to use. And so the portions of the town land that come under that, every year
Sign up.
we sign off on it. The only part that's usually important on that is this agreement is for a period of, and some property owners have an indefinite arrangement with the Ski Touring Association. The town traditionally uses a 1 year for the season binder easement, and it's reapproved every year. So
Excellent, thank you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll check off the 2013 box there, and I think it's just one signature for these. Forgive my ignorance. What does written signature mean? Is it just regular signature, or?
As opposed to printed.
There's only one line, I would sign.
Right, it says written signature. I didn't know whether that's because, I scribble. Written signature should be, maybe I'll just sign more.
Formally.
Written signature means on a document written as opposed to printed.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think.
Scribble away,
It will sometimes say print above.
I've seen that, just I've never noticed the written signature
I
before.
haven't seen that either.
I have a tendency to mess those things up, so just want to make sure I got it right. Next on the agenda is to approve deputy health inspector. As Beaky's questioned this earlier, what this was about. There does happen to be from time to time actual official use for a health inspector. We've appointed Jim Davis as our as our health inspector. The state has him listed, although Jim is not qualified to do health inspections. At the time, we weren't anticipating that we would need this type of work done, but we needed the position filled to have the authority to do this type of thing should the need arise. When the need arises, we need to have someone who's actually qualified to do the work. So what this is about is appointing someone who is qualified to do the work. The intention of the use on this is to not create a position for the town. It's to, on a per diem basis, have the ability to use someone who's officially qualified to do it. It's not like it's the type of situation where we can contract out the service. We need to actually appoint a deputy who's qualified to do this. And this is at the recommendation of the county attorney and our town council as well. In contacting Sean Bergeron about this, he is qualified to do the work and is someone that I would recommend that we appoint as the deputy health inspector. So I would, and it's pursuant to RSA 128.6-A. I'd entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
And just to clarify that, he just steps in when Mr. Davis, who is state listed, but not qualified to do all health inspection work that we may need to have done. Mr. Bergeron will step in at that point, and Mr. Davis is still our primary health inspector.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? Okay.
Okay.
I spoke to the state about that particular appointment, and they recommend that you have some sort of a perimeter for, expiration date. For example, our present health inspector, his term ends in April of 2013. Perhaps you might want to coincide it with that term, or you can make it a one-year term. It's up to the town how long the term will be.
I think that makes sense, and I think that it would make sense to coincide with Jim Davis's term, because technically he's making the recommendation to appoint Sean Bergeron as the deputy health inspector, so it would coincide with that probably. So
The precise end date is April 12, 2013.
And whose recommendation was that again?
This was a woman from the State Department of Human Services that works in public health.
That makes sense.
I guess we would either have to make an amendment to the motion, or we could withdraw the motion and remake the motion to state to appoint Sean Bergeron as the deputy health inspector pursuant to RSA 128. I guess who made the motion?
I did.
Would you consider withdrawing the motion?
Yeah, I can withdraw the motion. It's
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay. I guess I'd entertain a new motion then to appoint Sean Bergeron as the deputy health inspector pursuant to RSA 128.6A for to coincide with the term of the current health inspector ending April 2013.
so
Second.
Any more discussion, comments, concerns?
seems pretty straightforward. I think we should probably always have someone that's qualified, available to do things if our health inspector is not qualified to do all the work.
And this is the type of situation where it's not something we would have anticipated,
Right.
this type of thing coming up, but
Just for your information, I don't know if you realize that if you appoint a health inspector, they don't need to be a resident of Jackson. They only need to be a resident of New Hampshire. And they can also serve multiple towns.
Right.
I don't know if you know that. I didn't know that.
The other thing I wasn't aware of too is that I did talk to Andy about this today. He said he is actually qualified to do this as well, and I didn't know that at the time. But in my discussion with Andy about it, I thought, and he agreed, that it would be better to have separation of duties here, where you have one person performing one role and another person performing a different role. So that's why I was kind of recommending to go with Sean Bergeron. So if there's no more discussion.
What is his rate of pay? Just for FYI.
Sean's rate of pay will be the hourly rate that he charges, which I'm not sure what that is. I think it's $80 an hour. But it's on an on-call as needed basis.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is something I imagine Sean Bergeron, his name is probably going to cause some people to come and ask us a lot of questions about this. And I think that our standard answer should just be, there's circumstances where we need this type of expertise, when those circumstances arise, he's probably as capable as anyone else in the area to do so. So it's an as-needed basis.
Do we all need to sign that? Or?
Oh, yes. Thanks. That brings us back to public comment. Mom, Dad, Hank? Anyone?
My only question would be relative to what you just did with the deputy health inspector. How do you determine when you use them? And who makes that decision?
That will be determined by, it could either be by the health inspector or the board of selectmen. Or
As a board?
as a board. And it would always be to engage through the current health inspector, Jim Davis, because it could also be instigated by the state as well, under certain circumstances. But that would have to go through Jim Davis, not through Sean Bergeron. It was to come from the state.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Brings us to board issues. The only issue I was aware of was the political signs, which is on the agenda separately, so.
And
Anybody else have anything at this point?
Well, I think we've been talking about the idea of having clear and concise job descriptions for all of the town staff that spell out duties and roles and responsibilities, and I think it's timely that we kind of move that one a little bit further up on the agenda, the priority list, and see if we can get some work done on that. I'd like to identify town staff that don't have job descriptions in their files and get to work on providing those for those staff.
And I think that's a good idea. Question then becomes, how do we want to facilitate that? Do we want to appoint someone to work on it from the board, then have a work session, or do we want to have a work session first and then decide how to proceed? What are our thoughts?
I think that, well, did you want to say something?
I think the work session first would probably be just identify which ones are going to be needed and, maybe a direction.
Sure.
To my knowledge, I don't believe we have job descriptions for any position in town.
Okay.
Are we aware of any that we have?
Well, I have a job description that I put together last year for me and my staff. I think that Jay may have done one when he started working here. I can look in the files. I haven't seen any for the PD department. I think Jeanette may have done one for her deputy. I can verify that.
Okay,
It's sporadic. It's sporadic.
I guess to clarify then, it's pretty easy to pinpoint the employees that we'd be talking about that would need job descriptions. The office staff would need them, and the road crew.
I can give you what I have, the most current, and then you can go from there. And then you'll be able to identify what you do have, or you don't have, and start from there.
But again, I guess I just want to say that to my knowledge, we don't have any for any of the positions that we need to have them for. And I think we can identify which positions we need those for right now. We need them for the office staff and the road crew. We don't need job descriptions for the police department. That's the purview of the police department. And we don't need them for the deputy town clerk or the town clerk. That's the purview of the town clerk. something I think we'd be looking to identify. And we don't have any transfer station employees ourselves anymore, so that doesn't, it would have fallen under that, but since we don't have any now, it doesn't. So I think the ones we need job descriptions for would be the office staff and the road crew, basically.
The road agent?
I don't, that's a gray area, and I'll have to find that out from the LGC, whether we're supposed to provide one for the road agent or not. He does fall under our supervision, so it probably would make sense to have a job description for the road agent as well, but.
So office administrator, administrative assistant, road crew, and possibly the road agent.
Possibly
is
the
what
road
we're
agent.
down to on that. Okay. It would be great to just conduct some research before the work session, see, for example, LGC have some templates for road crew job descriptions. And obviously we need to nail down whether we need one for the road agent or not. We need one for the fire chief?
We do not need one for the fire chief or the fire department.
Okay. So the life safety code and all that.
That's under the purview of the fire
Okay.
department. So I can easily contact the LGC. They just recently updated their job descriptions for all town
Great.
types of employees. And I spoke with them last week about that, and they very happily supply us with the templates for them. And can forward those to you through Diane the email to get those out. We can take a look at them, and then maybe schedule a work session to delve into it.
Yeah. That sounds good. So you probably won't know until you check into it whether they have job descriptions for all three of these positions, road crew.
They do. They have them
They
for.
do.
They have them for all, and they have them for. It's. A lot of times you'll find they say find in smaller towns where the jobs kind of overlap and things like that. So she said they have multiple different types of job descriptions for each of those types of jobs. So we can get them all and kind of cut and paste, if you will, and for what would work for us. And
Excellent. Well, so putting together a work session is the next step. Locking something in. I know we're going to be talking about the meeting on the 20th. Later on in the meeting, maybe we can tackle both of those dates at the same time.
yeah, and it doesn't matter too much to me. I guess let's pick a date for the selectmen's meeting first. I don't know how much time we'll have to spend on the work session on the job description piece of it. It might not be the type of thing that would take more than an hour or so to get kind of our the ball rolling on it anyway and determine how we want to proceed with it.
Right.
Because I don't think we anticipate coming up with any kind of final drafts on much, certainly through one work session anyway. So we schedule the selectmen's meeting first, and then we might want to tag it on to the same day if it makes sense to us. If not, then maybe we target a different date in general. But I think most importantly, we need to get that selectmen's meeting targeted anyway, and then do the work session. So.
All right, well, if you wanted to look at the 27th,
Is that the following Thursday?
yeah, after our originally scheduled meeting, if you wanted to do the selectmen's meeting at our regular time of 3:30 and come together, or 4:30 rather, and come together at 3:30. Is that possible, John? Is that too early in the day for you? I just looked at my calendar and I could make an hour earlier.
You're probably playing soccer.
Yeah, I can get the day off.
Oh, soccer.
Yeah, but that's all right. I mean, I've made arrangements for this purpose.
Oh,
The only thing I'm not looking at my calendar to see what's going on the 27th. That's the only thing I don't have in front of me right
Gotta
now.
check mine too.
What we could do is,
I don't foresee any problems. I don't have any games on Thursdays at all, so.
Oh,
that week that we're not having a selectmen's meeting, we targeted, that's not that week that's a problem, it's that specific day.
right, well, I'm flying out of town on Wednesday the 19th, and I'm being scheduled for Thursday the 20th. And I'm not gonna be back until Tuesday the 25th.
Because a work session to discuss something like that, there's no reason why we couldn't get together later in the evening, like after 6 o'clock sometime too, that works better for all our schedules.
Yeah, yeah,
Because after 7, I think we all pretty much become pretty available, so.
okay, yeah.
Um,
Um,
So I guess, don't worry about the work session at the moment, let's get the selectmen's meetings targeted.
Okay. You want to move it to the 27th, which is the following Thursday, same time, 4:30?
Temporarily, yes, I can agree to that. I really don't foresee any
So
problems.
we'll meet the 20th, we'll meet the 27th. Okay,
At 4:30.
yeah,
And then if that's going to be an issue, then we'll
So I think I can work around it.
we'll
yeah.
cross
We'll
that
make it
bridge.
tentative until you...
I'm pretty sure I can make it.
check it out.
Thursdays are good days for me.
Alright.
It just works out that way, so it's good.
Okay, so selectmen's meeting 4:30 on the 27th.
Is that all right with you, Di?
Yep.
And work session.
That's going to be whatever's easy for you guys. And like I said, if it's later in the evenings, what makes it easier to schedule, then I don't see any reason not to target that.
Mhm. Well, we all got a busy day next Tuesday, the 11th.
Speaking of which,
Next Wednesday, the 12th, Thursday, the 13th, in the evening is fine with me. Friday, the 14th, if we locked in an hour from 6 to 7 on one of those 3 nights.
Tuesdays and Fridays I have games, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Gonna go with it, again, make it tentative until you can...
Yeah, if it's a home game, I can make 7 o'clock. If it's a away game, obviously I won't, because we'll be back till midnight.
Well, Wednesdays and Thursdays,
That's all right.
you do 6 o'clock.
Sure.
All right. One of those nights better for you?
Wednesday's better for me.
Let's do
Wednesday?
Wednesday the 12th at 6 o'clock.
Wednesday the 12th.
And by then we'll have
There might be a meeting that day, I should check.
the templates.
Yeah, I'll probably have this tomorrow,
Okay.
which is pretty responsive. The last time I requested some of those, the person who I requested from was relieved of their job. The day I asked of it and was kind of surprised why I didn't get them, and I recalled them a couple weeks later, and I called about this thing, and person,
Geek.
What was the time again, 7?
6
6?
and the 12.
You know, on the sessions to do minutes.
I don't think we're going to need that for the work session myself. I mean, I think that I can just take notes of it. I don't think it's the type of thing where we,
Ellen's get training, but I'll be available for the September 12th at 6 o'clock. That's the day after the elections too, you realize that.
Crispy fried.
yeah.
That's fine.
Don't have to do it that day.
No, that's fine, that works. That works for me.
All right.
I mean, it's up to you guys. It doesn't matter much to me whether I just take notes or we have Diane do them.
And we're going to call this a job description work session.
Yep. Leave that up to you guys.
Keep
that for now.
The only other board issue I had that I wanted to discuss was I just wanted to, again, get a sense on where we are with the planning board and the local building code enforcement. Are we ready to schedule? We're not ready to schedule.
I don't think they're ready yet, but they're getting very close.
Okay.
I think one more meeting, they'll probably have everything at least, maybe not finalized, but,
Mhm.
you know, maybe enough information we bring it to us.
They needed a job description from us for the building inspector. At the last meeting, you reported that, right? Okay, so.
Yeah, and we had worked on that a little bit before. Maybe we should throw that into the
Yeah,
discussion on Wednesday.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Does they
time.
meet the next night?
That's what they did.
Yeah.
13.
That would be good timing, actually.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
To the building inspector. You take the minutes for that one?
Isn't it?
Happy, joy.
And to clarify a couple things on the building inspector, since we're on the subject. We'd be needing a job description for the building inspector if the building inspector is going to be a town employee. With the law that passed now, we do have the option of contracting out the position of building inspector, in which case we wouldn't have a job description for the building inspector. So just to keep in mind as far as that's concerned anyway. I did contact the legislature Office of Research. They looked into the issue of contracting out the position of building inspector as it stands before the law was passed. And they said it was implicit in the administration rules that the town did have the option to contract out the services of the building inspector. In the memo that I prepared, where I said that we could not contract out the position, it would have to be a town employee or in conjunction with another town. According to the Office of Legislative Research, they said that we've always had that ability in the administrative rules. It's a whole different level of law, but moving forward anyway, we do have the option of having that position contracted out, which we would not need a job description, but regardless of that, it probably would make sense to have a job description so that we would have the option to do one or the other as the need arises.
Would we look to the planning board to make a recommendation on how they feel about whether we should be contracting or staffing that position, or is that not appropriate to seek their input?
I don't think it hurts to seek their input. In the discussions I've had with the LGC about it, their interpretation of things at this time is that that's something that could be determined by the Board of Selectmen. Whether you want to use in-house or if you wanted to contract out the job. And certainly a discussion with the planning board would highlight it, make the public aware of it, and we did see any kind of public comments that we might have about that sort of thing. It really comes down to kind of the service that you're after, the amount of money that you want to spend towards it. Contracting out the service tends to be less expensive for a small town than having the person a town employee.
And at the same time, if we continue to keep it with a contract, not keep it, my understanding is we don't have a contract right now with Andy.
We
Is that accurate?
we don't have a contract, no.
And so, moving forward, it seems like that would make sense to have a contract. And I know there are some things you don't want to put in there that make it more of a job description, right? But there still needs to be some sort of scope of services contained in the contract.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of conflating the word contract. Contracting out the job is using a third party to do the inspections. It's not necessarily something that you have to have a contract with per se, as much as it's contracting out a subcontractor kind of sense of the word. So where words have more meaning, you don't necessarily have to have a contract with a third party to do the inspections. You could just utilize the services of a third party, in which case you'd have the option. You could certainly contract it if you wanted to. There was some beneficial reason for contracting with a particular person to do it versus using who you wanted to. I mean, lots to that anyway, but as it relates to the job description anyway, I just kind of wanted to point out that I did get clarification on that anyway, that we do have the option of doing that. Now, when you were to hire the services of a third party to fulfill that position, it wouldn't be a job description as much as that these are the expectations we have on how we wish the job to be executed. And they would either agree to being able to execute it in that way or not up front. So it wouldn't be necessarily an expectation of their performances as much as this is the service that we want fulfilled. Are you capable of serving that position or not? So it's kind of the way we look at it. But we can cross that bridge when we get there. But it certainly, I think, would make sense to have on record a job description for it. So.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Brings us to new business, political signs on town property. Have you seen the email from Phil and Diane about it? I've had several people question me about it outside of that. To me, it would just make sense to say that it's simply not allowed.
So there isn't currently a policy.
I could not find one. I looked in their ordinances to see if it was addressed there. Some towns do have ordinances prohibiting political signs on town property. We do have a sign ordinance. The only language in the ordinance that speaks to sign is if it's not made out of wood, they're not allowed. And it does, and it would probably refer to, private property, not town property.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I've
Other than
never
that,
noticed political signs that were just so obviously on town property before. Not to say that it doesn't happen every election year. I've driven by that sign. Well, that's town property. Why is that sign there?
I've never seen a sign placed on town property before either. I think it's always probably just been a given that people shouldn't be putting them there.
I couldn't find any law that prohibits it, except that it prohibits from putting it on a road right-of-way or a state road right-of-way.
Which that sign was.
Is it?
It was right on the corner. So I mean,
Well, doesn't that speak to the signs on the other side of the covered bridge then too?
That's private property.
That's
isn't it?
right.
no, it's in the road right away for the
So
state
Mr.
road.
Mallett's property.
It seems like it's within the right of way. I mean, they're right on the road, the state
Well,
road.
maybe
right?
that's
That makes
But
possible.
that's the state's business, I guess,
Yeah.
not ours. If they shouldn't be there because it's a state road right away, it's their job to do something about it.
I don't have any problem myself just stating we don't allow them on town property and having that enforced either by the police department or the road crew or both or whoever.
Can we do that without having to have an ordinance that goes before a legislative body?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't.
I don't have a problem with dealing with it for the here and now. I just feel like
Something needs to be done.
right.
I mean, in my line, I think it's not appropriate to use town property nor town business meetings, like the selectmen's meetings, for political purposes.
Right.
And that to me is using town property for political purposes, and it's a bad avenue to kind of open up permission for. So I would, again, I'm not comfortable with just saying we won't allow it and have the police remove them and the road crew remove them, and if people want to challenge us on that, those avenues, they can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does the LGC have any input on that, or?
Sure they could. Sure lots of people could.
Yeah.
If you want to call them, you want me to call them, I don't have any problem doing that in Aspen.
I just didn't know what the, process is.
there are levels of ordinances and policies that can be executed by managing the prudential affairs of the town. I'd be very surprised if this didn't fall under that purview.
Right.
But I would say in managing prudential affairs of the town, we're well within our authority to not allow it. And like I said, I'm perfectly comfortable in having that as a policy until someone tells us we can't. It's pretty clear cut and simple. I think we just state we don't allow it, remove them when we see them.
Do the people who have the signs get notified, the fact that, you know, that we're taking them down? I mean, you know, I would hate to see that.
Sure, it wouldn't hurt just to say, you know, it's, you know, your signs at the highway garage or it's at the,
They want to collect them or whatever.
you want to collect them. But I don't think it would hurt to make a motion to make that a policy. And I'd make a motion to not allow political signs to be erected on town property.
Second.
More discussion. Diane?
What about, because I did have a call, the last selectmen's meeting, Mr. Boyle called to see if it was okay if he could speak, and I didn't think anything of it, because I felt, you know, that it was a public meeting. I told him, and if he wanted to say something, he could do so at the public comment piece. Now, I'm hearing differently tonight, so are you going to make a policy on that? Because I will get calls in the future. It's, I need to be clear
Okay.
on what I can tell people.
Let's move on this one, then I'll address that. Any further discussion on the sign business? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On that specifically, I don't think we need a policy. It's, you know, I understand the thought process on why the person might have thought it was okay to do that. I mean, we tend to run pretty open meetings, and public comment can be public comment. To me, public comment should be limited to town business. As far as allowing someone to come in and use public comments in our meetings, that's something that I will disallow as the chair. So I won't allow someone to come in and make a political statement, you know, campaign statement.
Soapboxing.
Soapboxing. You know, I apologize to him for the confusion of it. It's, I understand why it was thought it was okay. I mean,
I was just a little taken aback.
But to me, a selectmen's meeting is not the proper forum for that type of statement, that type of political statements. So I mean, as a chairman, I would not allow that type of statement to occur.
You can rent out the Windy Center if they want to have a political venue.
Yeah, I mean, there's other venues where you can do that. To me, it's not appropriate to have it during our selectmen's meeting. And that's just something I won't allow as chair. The next selectman want to leave, when the next board wants to allow it, that'll be their purview. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not something I'll allow to occur. So.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, think about the number of people running for elected office.
I mean, we could be here all night.
Yeah.
And I should have been kind of stronger on that at that meeting. I should have, you know, apologized to the man for having incorrect information, but it's my decision to make that, and that's a decision I'll make on that. Deb?
I was just going to say that I think that the chair should rule on those sort of things. It could possibly be something other than a political statement. I mean, someone could read something from a poem or from a book or something, just because they wanted to make that sort of statement that really isn't germane to town business.
And that's what I'd look at it as well. So, just so it's clear moving forward, I won't be allowing it anyway. Brings us to old business. Got board policy, which we've kind of been discussing anyway, so we've covered that. It brings us to the Bartlett-Jackson Transfer Station Agreement. To bring people up to speed on that, at this point in time, we have transferred our employee over to the town of Bartlett, so the town of Bartlett is employing all the employees up there. It's is still in the agreement listed as a joint management of the employees, but technically they do fall under, thank you, the the employment of the town of Bartlett, and we do have a payment arrangement to cost share for those employees that are rated 75% covered by Bartlett's, 25% covered by the town of Jackson. What are our thoughts on trying to get a discussion of the Bartlett Jackson Transfer Station Agreement out there? So we're having a public hearing specifically for that, a sounding board specifically for that. And I think it's something that we might want to address on a more public level, at least invite the public in to talk about it at a, in a bigger kind of forum, if you will.
I think that's a good idea.
To maybe sometime during the budget cycle or right before the budget cycle, because it's full swing, we have a public
Yeah,
hearing.
probably before, because once we get into that, we'll be pretty busy.
And before, I mean, just so people know what we'll be discussing when we talk about the budget during that time period, they'd have the information in front of them before then. So maybe target sometime in October or November to maybe have a public hearing. Maybe in our next meeting, we can think about trying to schedule a specific time for it.
Okay, that sounds
Sure.
good. And so, in the meantime, though, that transfer station agreement is in place.
Agreement's in place, and
And we backtracked on that to March, correct?
March 2011, but
Right.
that hasn't been settled yet, really, so we're still kind of pending that, so.
Still that loose end. And we worked out all the details of transferring the employee over to the town of Bartlett, and matching all of the benefits, and coordinating all of that as the changeover
Well,
takes place.
John started working for the town of Bartlett September 1st, actually August 31st, actually, was his first day of employment under Bartlett. Some of those other matters we need to, I think, wrap up under non-public.
Okay. Got it.
But we're close to having that finalized, yes.
All right. Excellent.
Diane and Amanda.
Good day.
Yeah, I'm going back to the March 1st, 2011. I have figures before I released them for Bartlett, and I wanted to go over that. I don't know how you want to do it.
Yeah, you did send that out. I just assumed do that in public, I think. I don't know why that'd be a non-public matter, so,
That's what I'm,
yeah. So we can do that, Dad, did you?
I was just going to ask, would you make a motion to hold a public hearing?
Sure, I don't mind making a motion for that. To me, it would make more sense if we target a date for it to do that. But I think at our next meeting, we'll target a date for it, and it makes sense to make a motion just to make it official, I suppose. So, do you want to discuss the figures now? On the subject?
you want to do it in public session?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to non-public
And,
now?
no, this is, and the numbers we're talking about here, in negotiations with Bartlett, we're looking to look back to March 1st, 2011 to cost share at the 75-25% cost sharing split. And so we're trying to come up with numbers to add to the 100% hold to split 75-25.
These are in your packet. It's clipped underneath the minutes. Bob, I supplied you with the same. The spreadsheet.
This is right here.
It's right on the very bottom. Oh, there it is.
Oh, the minutes from the Bartlett Jackson. I got you. Did I lose some minutes from? They're up there, aren't they? I got it all messed up now. Sorry.
It's all right.
I think it's in order, but it might not be.
It's all right.
Have a good one.
No, you can keep it rolling.
Okay.
We're still in public.
Still in public.
We're just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
So the number we're looking for is our number for our employees from March 1st, 2011 to present. And I mean, I guess we're starting at a raw number there and then subtracting things from it.
Well, yeah, Brian's share, the 9,700, $19, that I took out because Bartlett reimbursed us for that.
Okay, at what rate do we know?
That was at 50%.
Is it 50%?
So that 97 represents 50% of Brian's cost.
Okay.
And the other 50% is in the total wages of 53,000 up on top.
And I guess the way I kind of envisioned doing this was coming up with a solid number, like one number that is represents our employment costs from March 1st, 2011 to present.
And that would be the 80,000.
That'd be the 80,000.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just showing you how I arrived at,
Backed out?
correct.
Okay.
I'm just showing you how I arrived at the 80.
And then, and from that, we would want to subtract the roughly 10% of the healthcare costs that we had in that.
I didn't do that, no,
And New Hampshire
because
retirement
well, the New Hampshire retirement is out of that,
is out of the
Yeah.
$80,000 number.
right,
So the only thing that's still in that is roughly 10% of the healthcare costs.
correct.
Okay. Because then I think what we'd do is we'd add that number to what Bartlett spent from March 1st, 2011. And we'd split that number to 75%, 25%. Find out what we've paid from March 1st, 2011 to present, what they've paid from March 1st, 2011 to present, and we'd subtract the larger number from, we'd subtract a smaller number from the larger number, and that's the balance due the other town, I believe.
Right.
Well, let's back up a little bit. We don't know right now how much Bartlett spent in totality for 2011 because we don't know if they paid any health insurance in 2011. So I kind of left that in a gray area box. I took Bartlett's figures from their town report.
We'll have to get Bartlett's figures from Bartlett. Really.
Right.
So,
And so I would think that what you would do, let's say hypothetically speaking, if you took our $80,000 expense and Bartlett's $126,000 expense and you add those two together, then you would divide 80 from the total and then you get a percentage and you divide.
So we're looking at somewhere around 200,000, so it's 75, 25, it's going to be 150 to 50, so they'd be owing us around 30,000.
About 30 grand, right?
And so from that, we'd be subtracting a few odds and ends on both ends of it, and we'd have to figure that out, what they've paid on certain things, what we have paid. That'll be kind of the minutiae of the details, but I think we can figure that out. So the $80,000 is what we have for employee costs from March 1st, 2011 to present, whenever the date was on this one,
Including the health insurance.
including 100% of the health
I don't
insurance
think
for
it's the
John.
present, though. I think it's the 12/11.
To 12/11.
On this side is 2012.
This is.
Oh, okay.
That's just 2011.
So 2011 and the 2012, we've got
I got them
42
separated.
I've got around 46,000.
And then if you add 80 and 45, it's 126,000.
Now, so for 2012, the only thing we've paid for health insurance is for John, correct? We haven't had any other employees. So we're looking at about $1,800 there, $1,900.
Are you still planning on backing out 10% of that? Are you trying to?
Yeah, I think we would because we don't expect Bartlett to cover
Okay.
our 100% coverage of our employee. So we would just subtract that number from our total, so the 80 and the 46 were,
Okay. Because they pay dental.
so it's 126. So we're looking at around 126,000 is about our number anyway, so then we'll just have to go to Bartlett and subtract 2,000 of that, so it's 124.
I mean, I can do that. I can revise the spreadsheet to reflect the less 10% of the health insurance.
So we're looking at around 124 anyway, give or take a bit here and there.
Yeah.
So that's the number we'll be presenting to Bartlett. I'll talk to them about that tomorrow. And see where we go from there.
Would we have a document that was put together jointly with all the numbers on it? I mean,
I think
ultimately, if there was a document that their administrative assistant and our administrative assistant could both sign off on, that had all the figures, wouldn't that be easier?
Well, I think it would be. I mean, I think that to finalize it and to make it all official, we definitely want to do that. But I'm not comfortable yet that Bartlett's agreed to it. So what I want to do is get them the relative number and say we're looking at about this number, adding to your number, splitting that 75-25, and that would be the difference is what you owe us. I want to get confirmation from them that they're okay with that.
And you're going to approach their chairman?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once we get that confirmation that yes, that's what we'll do, then we have to get kind of nitty-gritty with the details. I think that from the 124 that we're talking about, we're going to have to again subtract. I think it was the $1,400 that they had in wages for John's replacement for 6 days that he took.
Right.
They may want to back out some of the sick days that he has in his contract. They may not. I don't know. I think that we would just kind of include it and assume it's in there for now, and if they say something about it, then we'll cross that bridge. But those numbers are going to be kind of, I think, kind of small on the sides.
My anticipation on their part is they're probably going to bring up those invoices again for, I think you just said it, for John's, yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, to back that number out, I mean, that was $1,400, I think, so that's not a huge.
The other,
We all understood that at the meeting, that was.
Yeah.
The other piece to those invoices that you need to be aware of is that they incorrectly added Amesworth Health Insurance, and he paid his own health insurance, so we shouldn't be charged for that. That was acknowledged by Brenda, but it wasn't brought up at the joint meeting. Just keep.
That makes another case for having a document that's kind of
Yes.
put together
Right.
jointly.
And we had,
Work
and
with Brenda.
I'd love to do that. We envisioned doing that when we
time is right.
Yeah.
were at the joint meeting, but it didn't work out that way.
So,
And that's what I mean, because we didn't start out there at the joint meeting.
right.
And, they agreed to that, but again, I think it was more in concept than it was, hey, this is the actual number we're talking about. Give or take $10,000 on either side of that. I'm not sure, I mean, like, there's going to be, that kind of nickel and diming, I guess, to some degree. But it's also at some point, I think that, if we can take the 124 number and they agree to that, and they present their number and we agree to that number, I mean, because we're looking at a number somewhere in the 126 plus whatever their 2012 would be, roughly half of that, I would assume, at least anyway. That's
more than half, yeah.
So I mean, we'd be expecting them to have a number somewhere in the $180,000 range, if you will. And I think if we're both kind of close to that, and we can say that's the numbers we'll go with, and I don't think we need to be too concerned about.
What troubles me though is what about from September 1st through the end of December? Are we gonna true up in December for the rest of the month of December?
Well, then, I mean, that becomes, we can figure that out when we get there. I mean, that'll be kind of up to Bartlett how they want the payment arrangements. I mean,
They're the ones fronting the bill right now. That's
yeah,
where they want their money.
when they give us the bill, we've got 30 days to pay it, I think. And if it hasn't been all settled up by December, then we have to settle it by December whenever they give us the numbers. So that'll be more kind of the ball will be more in Bartlett's court at that point in time.
Yeah.
And we'll actually have to monitor it to know what numbers are we anticipating, and it gets way outside that whack, then we be concerned and want to address it. But as long as they're within the parameters of whatever our expectations are, I don't see too much of a problem on that end. But what I want to get from Bartlett anyway is the big numbers. Like, we're talking somewhere around this number, you're talking somewhere around that number. A 75-25 split is going to look like you owing us X amount of dollars, are we okay with that? How much into the fine details of that does each side want to go? We get that figured out, then we put it down on paper, where we can agree, this is the numbers you're using, this is the numbers we're using, and we go from there. I don't think we're quite, at least I'm not comfortable assuming at this point that Bartlett's going to go along with that. I'm anticipating that they will, but I want confirmation from them they are before we spend too much time beating our heads against the wall trying to figure out the tiny numbers associated with this. I think we're pretty close to having it all pretty wrapped up and satisfied. I'd just like to have the opportunity to present to them, this is the number we're talking about, get from them, what number are you talking about? If both sides agree, then we figure out the little details and put it all on paper and sign off on it.
So do you see that conversation taking place between now and our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
And if they're agreeable to it, I think what I do at that point is just let Diane know, and her and Brenda can
Yeah.
sit down and
Duke it out.
punch the numbers together. And
Right.
I just don't. I mean, I'd like to get the big number settled, and then after that's occurred, if both the parties kind of agree that that's where we're at, I don't want to sweat out the details too much. I mean, it's like if we're talking a few $1,000s here or there either way. After 8 years of it, I'm not sure why we're going to be too concerned about that. I mean, I think that it's, so I want to get the big picture thing settled first, and then
Very good.
see how far we want to go into that.
Excellent. So that'll be a separate agenda item next meeting, not necessarily on old business.
Yeah, it probably should be.
Okay.
Old business?
No, not
Transfer station.
We'll just
Yeah.
put it on a separate agenda.
Separate agenda item, not under old business next meeting.
Okay.
As far along as we're saying we should be.
Oh, excuse me.
And that brings us to amend and approve the joint meeting minutes from July 31st, 2012. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, second.
I just wanted to bring to your attention, I don't recall talking about, I'll read it.
Which one? First page?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth sentence down. The selectmen requested that Diane Falsey figure out the wages, etc., for John Edgerly starting March 1st, 2011, but to take out the retirement, which is not a problem. I remember that, as Bartlett doesn't pay both retirement and Social Security. Now, I don't think we've ever agreed that we would not include Social Security.
I don't read it as saying that. I read it as saying that we would take out retirement, as Bartlett doesn't pay both retirement and Social Security. I think that was just kind of said haphazardly.
Okay.
It was just part of the statement. I mean, we didn't take Social Security out of this number, did we?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
And so-
they pay it, we
Right.
pay it, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I think that
mandatory.
was just an oversight.
I don't take that statement as meaning they were expecting us to
Social
take out Social Security.
No.
I don't read it that way.
You don't read it that way?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm not concerned about that.
all right.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who moved and who seconded it?
I seconded, he moved.
With he too. So I got lost for whether.
No worries.
Oh, yeah, sign the front.
And I'd entertain a motion to go into non-public pursuant to 91A32A to discuss a personnel matter.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.